Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at the crude oil market. And this is a daily chart of crude going back a few months, and you can see that crude has been very sloppy and difficult to trade. Lots of really small days, a few range expansion days, but you can see just lots of really small days. Even on these gap days, the actual trading days were pretty small days. There's just not a lot of movement inside these days. I mean, look at how tight the movement is inside these days. And crude has been like this for a while. You can see, even though we've been in somewhat of what I would consider a steady uptrend, making higher highs, higher lows for the most part, each day just doesn't have a lot of movement in it. Occasionally you'll get an expansion day, but each day just not much movement. And when you don't have a lot of expansion and price movement range in a day, it's hard to get good setups and hard to get anything that follows through and gives you some decent runs. Well, here recently, we finally started to move into some larger expansion days. You can see, big day here. The whole body was buying. Another one's buying. And even these ones that have some tails, at least you have some body that's all in one direction. See, this bar opened here, pushed up. Yeah, it ended up pulling back, but at least at one point in time, the whole body of that bar was all buying. So you had a decent move. Here's another one, decent move. This one, this day you pushed down, but then you left this bottoming tail and the body was buying. So again, a lot of movement in one direction. Now, we did have a couple choppy days here recently. You can see a small range day here and here. And these last couple ones, they've had decent movement inside the day, but it's been sloppy both ways. And then we had another good day today where we had some good range expansion. Left a little bottoming tail, and then the whole body of that bar was buying. And these bars, even like this bar, the whole body was selling, but at least it is large movement in one direction. And we don't care if it's up one day, down the next day, up, down, as long as the bodies have some size to them and there's movement inside that particular day, because we don't really care which way price moves. We don't even care why price moves as long as it's moving. And again, days where you have large movement in one direction makes that a much easier day to trade. And again, even if it's the opposite direction the next day, as long as it's large movement in one direction, makes it much easier to trade. And you can see today was a much better day to trade in crude. Here's our 30-minute chart. And this was the opening bell. And of course, we get up and down movement when the ghost pit opens in crude. This is the old ghost pit open. And then crude kept leaving these bottoming tails, showing a reluctance to sell off. And the 50 EMA we know is often significant support and resistance. And you see we broke underneath it and ended up back above it, broke underneath it, ended up back above it, finished right on top of it. And then this bar opened right here, left the bottoming tail, and the entire body of the bar was all buying. 5 and 13 still crossed to the upside. Momentum switched on this bar. This bar took us from bearish momentum to bullish momentum. And then the next bar was a nice push higher, ran right into the 200 EMA. We know, again, that these are significant support and resistance zones. So ran in there, pulled back. This next body or next bar opened right here. Entire body of the bar was all buying and closed above the 200 EMA resistance. Then crude kind of worked its way higher the rest of the day. Pulled back a little right at the end of the day, but you can see once we went into expansion, we never had a single close under the 5 EMA for the entire rest of the day till the end right there. So good range expansion, movement in one direction. So again, stayed above the 5 EMA the whole day, and that gives us some trading opportunities. Here's our Renko chart right here, and you can see right in here is when the ghost pit opened in crude, and we pushed up. Nice move out of the cloud for a nice move higher, and then we had the trend reversal breakout for a nice move lower. Trend reversal breakout is when you're making higher highs, higher lows, higher high. Then we put in a pivot. It's not a lower pivot low. Your previous pivot low is back here. And then we put in a lower pivot high and break to a lower pivot low. So we had trend reversal breakout to the downside. We're able to take advantage of a nice move lower in crude. And then we kind of went sideways a little bit. I mean, nothing goes straight up and straight down. Set up another trend reversal breakout right here, but back to the upside. And you see, really nice move to the upside. We had trend reversal breakout triggered right here above the cloud, above all the moving averages with bullish momentum. Kind of trend reversal breakout we like to see. Pushed up. We pulled back into the moving averages, got a Trender Pro 2.0 signal off the 34 for another really nice move to the upside. We came up in here. Our target in crude was actually 53.73. I believe the high of that bar was 53.74. So went above our target by one tick was all, but we were able to trade that all the way up into our target. So again, starting to get a little better movement in crude. I like to trade crude oil usually. It's been a more difficult market to trade, but it's definitely starting to get better.